Hi, today I'm going to show you some adorable, trendy summer looks using a strawberry bandana. I'm going to show you 3 different projects today, and I'm using Fabric Mod Podge for all of them. We're going to make this cute little shopping tote. I don't know if you've seen the frenzy out there about all of these shopping totes, but we're going to DIY our own today. And a couple of weeks ago, I did those napkin decoupage hats, and everyone went so crazy for them. So I wanted to show you how you do a fabric one using the fabric formula. And I'm also going to show you how to do a little cute keychain wristlet. So we're going to make this whole little set today. It's so easy to do. We're using Fabric Mod Podge. All right, let's get started. I'm starting with a plain trucker hat, the bandana, and Fabric Mod Podge. First, I'm going to use some wax paper to create a basic pattern of the front of the hat. Now, each one of these hats is a little bit different, so this is just a basic template. I'm using my fingers to fold back the wax paper and to make crease marks. This is not going to be an exact pattern, and each one of these hats is always made a tiny bit different depending upon how it's sewn. So just make a basic template for that shape. Then I'm going to place it onto my fabric. I like to do this on the bias so it has a little bit of stretch for going through the front of the hat. Go ahead and cut that out. This pattern is a tiny bit bigger than the shape that I'm covering, and that's okay because once it's glued down, we're going to trim away the extra. Go ahead and press it to give it nice flat surface, and then we're going to go ahead and add our Fabric Mod Podge directly to the hat. I'm adding a pretty thick coat here. Fabric Mod Podge is machine washable, although I recommend spot cleaning these hats or just hand washing. So the whole thing is covered with the Fabric Mod Podge. Now I'm placing the fabric down, and remember I said this fabric is a little bit bigger. We're going to cut away once it's a little dry. Smooth with your fingers and really press it down. We will be top coating. Now for that top section, we're gonna do the natural little fold there. So you will have that extra little peak. And now we're going to fold that in half, and we will add more Mod Podge and then flap that over. It's the same way you would sew a hat, but here we're just using the Mod Podge as a glue. Let's add a little bit more under there and get that glued down. I'm really pressing all of those side seams and making sure everything is secure. I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and then I'm going to trim away the extra, just going right on the lines of the hat. This one's a little bit tricky. You got to work around that top button and then down the sides and of course across the front. We're going to top coat with more Mod Podge, and this will really seal the fabric down and make it weather friendly. Now you could stop here because it's so cute just like this, but I wanted to make this a little bit more trendy for summer. So I'm gonna add some trim. I'm using a detail paintbrush by Mod Podge to paint on more of the Fabric Mod Podge. I like using the Fabric Mod Podge here because the hot glue, if you were to use hot glue, seeps through the lace. So this is a much cleaner look. So we're gonna go ahead and trim out that whole front section with some of this cotton lace. So cute and so trendy for this summer. Add a little bit along the front line too. And again, if this lace isn't your style or you think it's a little bit too frou-frou for you, just leave it off because it's so cute on its own also. And glue it down. Now I want to add some gems to the design. These are those lightweight kind of diamond painting gems. I'm just using some of that same glue. You could use jewel glue if you want to use jewel glue, but the Fabric Mod Podge works pretty great for this too. Using a detail paintbrush to paint where I want the glue. And then I'm going to add some flat backed pearls just around the hat to finish off the design. I'm going to add a bow to the front of the hat. Again, I'm going for that super trendy look. So let's tie that off. This is a real easy bow. Just crisscross your lace and then get a string to tie in the center. This is just a piece of scrap yarn, and that'll keep it low profile. Trim away that extra. Now for the bow, I am going to hot glue that on because it's a little bit heavier of an embellishment. So I'm going to go ahead and add a hot glue dot there. Go ahead and put that on, and then we'll finish it off with a cute little strawberry embellishment. Look at how adorable those are. So you can find these in the scrapbooking section. So cute. I love the way the strawberries look on the red hat. All right, now with that scrap fabric left over, let's go ahead and make a cute keychain. You can find these pre-made keychain wristlets, and you can find these clear discs at the craft store. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the protective backing, place it where we want it. And I'm doing a rough cut. You don't have to be really particular here because once it's dry, we're gonna trim up those edges. So let's go ahead and cut out the fabric. I'm adding the Fabric Mod Podge directly to the disc. You can see that it's a pretty thick coat. Next, I'm going to place the fabric right on top of that disc, and I'm going to really press down with my fingers, making sure it's secure. And we're going to let that dry. And once it's dry, we can trim away that edge. So I'm going to use some sharp scissors going right around the edge, and then I'll go in and fussy cut any of the little extra pieces that need to be trimmed away. Now for this, we do need to add a top coat, but before we top coat, let's go ahead and poke our hole. That's just a toothpick. You want to poke that hole so you can get your jump ring in there. And we're going to seal and top coat with more of the Fabric Mod Podge. This will have a dry time of a couple of days. So if you're giving this as a gift, make sure you give yourself a couple of days for it to thoroughly dry and cure. If it's fabric to fabric, it dries a little faster, but I do find on the plastic, it needs a little bit longer to dry. Now I'm just gonna add some of those flat back pearls along the edge just to finish it off. I'm gluing those down, and then I'm using the edge of my tool to slide it around and make sure I have a nice finished circle. Let's add some more of our gems to our strawberry. And I even have another one of those little chunky strawberry embellishments that we can add to this design. You can do this with any kind of fabric. I really love that this strawberry shape fit perfectly onto this circle disc. So just look around for the sizes of prints that you want. Look how cute it looks when it's all dry. And now we can just attach it to one of those wristlets. I picked up that wristlet for $2.99, already finished at the craft store. So it's just ready for your embellishments. You'll open up the jump ring, add your decorated disc, and then go ahead and close that jump ring back up. Super cute. Okay, let's add that embellishment. Now this time I'm not using hot glue since I'm not going over that big chunky bow. I'm just using some of the Mod Podge. And yes, it is strong enough. You can also use jewel glue if you want. Go ahead and glue that down. This is the fabric formula of Mod Podge. So adorable. Okay, let's do that tote bag. For this, I'm going to do a heart applique right in that center section. So make sure you either use a ruler or eyeball the shape. Now I'm going to go ahead and just cut the heart shape freeform. You can do any shape that you want. A monogram's cute here, whatever you want. I'm adding some wax paper in between the layers just in case some of the Mod Podge were to seep through. This is the back side of the heart. I'm adding all of the Fabric Mod Podge there, making sure I get the edges really good and working all the way around the entire design. Now let's lift it from the wax paper, place it into position. You do have a little bit of wiggle room here, so if you make a mistake, just pick it up and then use a wet cloth to wipe away any extra that might get spilled over on the edge. Now press with your fingers to secure, and let's top coat again the whole entire thing with more Mod Podge. Once that's dry, we'll be ready to do our embellishing. I'm repeating those pearls because I want to make a really cute set all together. So I'm using that same glue, just going along the edge with my detail paintbrush and setting in those pearls to border out the trim. And of course, adding some of our little gems to the strawberries. To me, it's these little details that really add the cuteness to these projects. I wanted to repeat the bow look, so I'm going to tie off a bow and add one of those little strawberry pieces right there. And now I've got this adorable set.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that these projects have inspired you to think about how you can make some fun spring and summer fashion using a bandana. I'll be back here next week with another fun project to share with you. And until then, have a super crafty week. Bye.